Artificial Frontier Podcast.
All right, so you've given us this whole treasure chest of YouTube videos about hip hop jewelry.
It's a lot. We're talking like iced out grills. We're talking chains that could probably finance a small country.
Yeah.
And then watches that cost more than some houses. I gotta say, you've definitely piqued our curiosity with this one.
It's a fascinating world, isn't it? And it's about so much more than just flashing wealth, you know?
Well, yeah.
This jewelry, it tells a story. It reflects cultural shifts. It reflects, artistic innovation, even the evolving dynamics of status and success.
It's like holding a piece of history, but one that's like constantly being rewritten, you know?
Right. Speaking of history, though.
Can you walk us through how hip-hop jewelry has even, like, transformed over the years? Where do we even start?
Absolutely. We can trace it back really to the 80s. I mean, with pioneers like Curtis Blow, sporting these chunky gold chains,
Yeah.
bold statements, right? It really reflected the era's aesthetic, totally. Like in your face, I'm here kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, when Jay-Z burst onto the scene with those platinum chains, everything changed.
Yeah.
That was a power move, signaling a shift towards, even more extravagant displays of wealth.
It set a new standard, right? Like all of a sudden 6 figures is the entry point, not the finish line.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about the material itself, right?
Yeah.
Platinum, its rarity, its value.
Oh, for sure.
Added a whole other layer to the statement.
Totally.
It was a clear message, right? Like hip-hop had arrived, and its stars, they were not afraid to show their financial prowess, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of statement pieces, we can't forget about grills.
Oh, yeah.
They've gone from like a niche trend to like a cultural phenomenon at this point with intricate designs that are like pushing the boundaries of jewelry making.
Right.
From those early days to like the diamond encrusted works of art that we see now, it's a whole other level.
We're talking like Nelly, Paul Wall, even Lil Wayne dropping $150,000 on a permanent set.
Wow.
What is driving this obsession with like pushing the limits like that?
I think it's about standing out, making a statement that's impossible to ignore.
Yeah.
And grills in particular, I think, are fascinating because they blend artistry with extravagance. I mean, the craftsmanship involved in creating these intricate custom designs is incredible. You have jewelers using, advanced techniques to set diamonds and precious stones, and they're pushing the boundaries of what's even possible.
It's like this fusion of street style and high-end jewelry making,
Yeah, it's like wearing a piece of art that doubles as a status symbol.
Right.
But let's be real, right? With all this money and flashiness floating around, it's no surprise that a darker side emerges, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm talking about the scams, the fakes, the accusations being thrown around. Like what's the story there?
It's an unfortunate reality, but where there's, immense wealth and this desire for exclusivity, there will always be those looking to exploit it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Remember when DJ Academics called out Ben Baller?
The jeweler who's worked with, some of the biggest names in hip hop for allegedly scamming clients.
Oh yeah, that was big news. Accusations of overpricing, using like lower quality materials than advertised.
Mm-hmm.
It really shined a light on the shady dealings that can happen in this world.
Yeah, and it's not just limited to smaller players either. Even big name jewelers can get caught up in it.
Really?
Remember when Lil Baby dropped $400,000 on a Patek Philippe watch?
Oh wow.
Only to find out it was a fake?
It's crazy. You'd think someone at his level would be immune to that kind of scam.
Right.
It really highlights the scale of this counterfeit luxury goods market, though, right?
Right. Absolutely. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that preys on this desire for status symbols, and it often uses, increasingly sophisticated methods to replicate even the most intricate designs.
It's got to be a constant like cat and mouse game, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Between the counterfeiters and the people who are trying to expose them.
All the time.
Makes you wonder how much of what we see is even the real deal.
And how much of it is just like a carefully constructed illusion.
That's the question, isn't it? And it's not even just about spotting the fakes.
Yeah.
It's about like understanding the motivations behind them, right?
Yeah.
Like why are people so eager to buy into these illusions of wealth and status, even if it means cutting corners?
Right, right. It's like that old saying, fake it till you make it, but taken to a whole other level.
Right.
But what happens when those lines between real and fake, like, they start to get blurred, you know?
Yeah.
Take lab-grown diamonds, for example.
They're chemically identical to mine diamonds.
Right.
But they're significantly cheaper. So is it still considered a fake?
If it's practically indistinguishable from the real thing?
It's an interesting ethical debate.
Yeah.
And one that's really kind of shaking up the entire jewelry industry.
Yeah.
You know? On the one hand, you have those who argue that lab-grown diamonds, they're more ethical.
Oh, interesting.
They're more sustainable because they don't come with the environmental and social costs.
Right.
That are often associated with mining.
Yeah, for sure. But
not to mention, they're disrupting a market.
Oh yeah.
That has, historically been shrouded in secrecy and exclusivity.
Totally.
And that's threatening to some.
Especially, to those who've built their businesses on this allure of rarity and exclusivity.
Right.
But for others, it's an opportunity
to like democratize luxury,
Yeah.
to make it accessible to a wider audience.
Right, like bring it to the people.
Exactly.
It's like the Wild West of bling right now, with everyone just trying to figure out, like, what are the new rules?
Right.
But in the midst of all of this, it seems like some rappers are even starting to, like, question the whole game.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about 21 Savage, who famously said that he stopped buying jewelry
because the richest people that he knows don't even wear it.
It's a powerful statement, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It challenges that whole notion.
That outward displays of wealth are these ultimate markers of success,
Right.
It suggests that true wealth operates on a different level. One that's not about, keeping up appearances.
It's like they've seen behind the curtain and they've realized it's not all it's cracked up to be. And it's not just 21 Savage.
Cordy made a really interesting point about the economics of it all, right?
Yeah.
He was saying, financially, you need to be worth millions to actually afford a $100,000 chain.
Which, like, when you think about it,
right,
that makes sense.
It highlights that financial illiteracy.
Yeah.
That often, like, traps young artists.
In this cycle of like conspicuous consumption,
sort of.
They equate spending with success.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Without considering the long-term implications.
Right, for sure.
I mean, $100,000 chain might seem like a drop in the bucket when you're making millions, you know?
Right.
But it's a dangerous mindset.
That can quickly lead to trouble.
Especially in an industry that often glorifies instant gratification over long-term financial stability.
Precisely. And that's why,
it's encouraging to see artists like 21 Savage and Corday speaking out.
Yeah.
They're using their platforms to promote, like, financial literacy.
They're encouraging their peers to think about building generational wealth, not just accumulating,
flashy possessions.
So we've got this complex interplay, right?
Yeah.
Of history, artistry, scams, ethics, evolving values. It seems like hip-hop jewelry is like a microcosm of society itself, honestly.
It is.
Reflecting our desires, our anxieties, that constant tension between authenticity and illusion.
You've hit the nail on the head, It's a fascinating lens through which to examine, questions of wealth, of status, and the stories that we tell ourselves about success. We see the allure of shortcuts, the pressure to conform, and this constant quest for validation, right? In a world that's just saturated with images
of carefully curated perfection.
Right. It's a lot to unpack, and we're really just scratching the surface here.
No, yeah.
But for someone like you who's clearly interested in going beyond the bling, right?
Right.
What's the key takeaway from all of this? What does it all mean?
It means that we should never take anything at face value.
look beyond the surface, question the narratives that were being sold,
right,
and define success on our own terms, whether it's a diamond encrusted watch,
right,
or a carefully crafted online persona.
the same principles apply, authenticity, integrity, and a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yeah,
those are invaluable assets
for sure,
in a world that often prioritizes image
over substance.
It's about being like savvy consumers of culture,
right,
knowing that there's always more than meets the eye, whether we're talking about a piece of jewelry or even just like a carefully constructed image online.
Exactly. And that brings us to like a final thought I want to leave you with here.
Yeah.
We've seen how this fake it till you make it mentality,
right.
plays out in the world of hip hop jewelry, right?
Yeah, from replica chains to lab-grown diamonds, there's a whole spectrum of imitation and reinvention going on.
Exactly. So the question becomes, if this is happening so blatantly, with something as tangible as jewelry, where else does this mentality seep into our lives,
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, what other versions of ourselves are we presenting to the world,
right,
hoping no one like notices the difference.
Right. Are we prioritizing authenticity
in our pursuits, or are we
caught in this cycle of chasing after external validation,
even if it means kind of compromising our values in the process?
Wow, so much to think about.
This deep dive has been incredible. We started with some YouTube videos about hip-hop jewelry, and we ended up talking about questions of wealth, status, authenticity, even like the very meaning of success.
It's all connected,
It really is. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a true pleasure.
Likewise.
Kind of exploring these layers with you.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And remember, listeners, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Especially in a world that's constantly trying to sell us something. So.
All the time.
So to our listener, keep questioning, keep digging.
Keep digging.
And keep defining success on your own terms, all right?
There you go.
Until next time, thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Artificial Frontier Podcast.